The life and sad ending of Jim Brown. Jim Brown was born James Nathaniel Brown on February 17, 1936, in St. Simons Island, Georgia, USA. Often mentioned as the greatest player in NFL history, this ruggedly handsome African-American fullback for the Cleveland Browns first appeared on movie screens in the western Rio Conchos, followed by a strong supporting role as convict commando Jefferson in the terrific World War II action film The Dirty Dozen. He was kept busy with additional on-screen appearances in other fast-paced films including Ice Station Zebra, 100 Rifles, and El Condor. Brown's popularity grew during the boom of blaxploitation cinema in the early 1970s, portraying tough no-nonsense characters in Slaughter, Black Gun, and 3 The Hard Way. His on-screen work in the latter part of the 1970s and 1980s was primarily centered around guest spots on popular TV shows such as Chips and Knight Rider. However, Brown then resurfaced in better quality films, beginning with his role as a fiery assassin in The Running Man. He parodied the blaxploitation genre along with many other African American actors in the comedy I Am Gonna Get You Sucker. Played an ex-heavyweight boxer in the sci-fi comedy Mars Attacks, and ironically played an ex-football legend in the Oliver Stone-directed sports film Any Given Sunday. Additionally, Jim Brown was a ringside commentator for the first 6 events of the Ultimate Fighting Championships from 1993 through to 1996. A bona fide legend in American sports and a successful actor, he continues to remain busy in front of the camera with recent appearances in various sports shows and TV productions. Jim Brown went through 2 marriages. He married his first wife Sue Jones in 1958. They had 3 children and then divorced in 1972 with 3 children. He eventually married Monique Brown. They had 2 children and lived a peaceful life. Was a great lacrosse player for Syracuse University. He was also inducted into the Lacrosse Hall of Fame in 1983. Played fullback for the National Football League's Cleveland Browns, 1957 to 1965. Inducted into the Pro Football Hall of Fame 1971. The only man to be inducted during his lifetime into 3 sports halls of fame: pro football, college football, and lacrosse. Considered by many to be the greatest ever to play in the history of the National Football League. One defensive lineman's response as to the best way to tackle Brown: grab a hold of him and wait for help. Never missed an NFL game in his career due to injury. Despite only playing 9 seasons, he retired as the all-time NFL career rushing leader with 12,312 yards. The record stood for 19 years. In 1984, both Walter Payton and Franco Harris stood to break his NFL record of career rushing yards. Brown vowed to come back and play after 19 years of retirement if Harris broke the record because he didn't like the fact that Harris often ran out of bounds instead of fighting for every yard he could get. Inducted into both the College Football Hall of Fame and the Lacrosse Hall of Fame, making him one of the few athletes in more than one Hall of Fame. Brown was unanimously named the Rookie of the Year in 1957. He was recognized that season as the NFL's most valuable player by many media organizations. In all, he earned league MVP honors 4 times. Brown starred in 100 Rifles, with Burt Reynolds, which featured one of the first interracial love scenes in the film. He was selected as All-American in both football and lacrosse from Syracuse University. His favorite films of his own are The Dirty Dozen, Slaughter, and Mars Attacks. Posed for a nude centerfold in the September 1974 issue of Playgirl magazine. He was a close friend of the late actor, Lee Marvin. Even though he had retired from the NFL after the 1965 season, he remained on the reserve, retired list of the Cleveland Browns until 1975. had been given an offer by a group of businessmen to channel his size, strength, and speed into serious training to become the world's heavyweight boxing champion, an offer that he respectfully passed on. He was the subject of one of Drew Carey's short stories, Tackling Jim Brown from Drew Carey's Dirty Jokes and Beer, Stories of the Unrefined. He grew up in Manhasset, Long Island, New York from the age of 8. The July 30, 1986, edition of Variety, in the new film starts section, announced that the film Slamdunk started filming in Los Angeles on June 2, 1986. Director Jim Brown, cast Jim Brown, Vanetta McGee, and Beverly Todd. The producer and writer were Booker Griffin. No evidence the film was ever completed or released. That's what really happened to him. Jim Brown, 84 years old. What is difficult at the moment is his health is not like before anymore. Time makes us remember what it went through.